Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again to Ancient Epics, the place where the greatest stories of humanity come back to life. Did you know that in the frozen forests of Old Rus, long before Moscow rose from the Seven Hills, a single fairy tale was whispered so powerfully that it shaped the dreams of an entire people for 1,000 years? And that hidden inside its gentle skin lies one of the darkest secrets of Slavic sorcery. A princess who was never truly a frog, but a star maiden punished by the deathless lord of winter itself, forced to wear the cold, wet skin of an amphibian until a mortal's love could burn the curse away? Tonight, by the quiet glow of this fire, let us travel beyond the thrice-nine lands to the realm where the rivers still remember, and listen to the tale the old women of Novgorod and Kiev once called the Frog Princess, or in the ancient tongue of the Eastern Slavs, Tsarevna Frog. Far, far away, in a kingdom whose golden domes have long since crumbled into the black earth, yet whose memory lingers in the wind over Lake Ilmen, there ruled a Tsar whose beard was white as the first snow on the Valdai hills. 3 sons had grown beneath his roof like 3 young pines. The eldest strong and proud, the middle clever with words, and the youngest, Prince Ivan, quiet as moonlight on still water. When the time came for the sons to seek brides, the old Tsar did not send matchmakers to distant courts. Instead, taking counsel from customs older than the coming of the Varangians, he handed each son a bow of yew and an arrow fledged with the feathers of a gray goose. "Go," he said, "to the open field beyond the city walls, draw your bows, and loose your arrows into the 4 winds. Wherever the arrow falls, there shall your fate await you." The sun was high when the 3 brothers reached the wide meadow, where the Oka and Volga once mingled their waters in ancient floods. The eldest son drew first. His arrow sang through the air and buried itself in the courtyard of a wealthy boyar, and the boyar's daughter, fair as spring birch, lifted it with a smile. The middle son's shaft flew lower and lodged in the carved gate of a merchant's house beside the great trading river. The merchant's daughter ran out, laughing, and claimed her destined groom. But Prince Ivan, though he pulled with all his strength, saw his arrow arc high, catch a contrary wind, and vanish into the dark marsh that lay to the north, a place the people called Kipala's Mirror, where on midsummer night the fern flower is said to bloom with golden fire. With heavy heart he followed the flight until the ground grew soft and reeds closed above his boots. There, sitting upon a hummock of moss, a little green frog held the arrow gently between her lips. She did not croak in fear. She only looked at Prince Ivan with eyes that held the color of deep forest pools, and in that gaze the young prince felt something older than sorrow. The Tsar would not be moved. "Fate has spoken," he declared when the brothers returned. "My eldest shall wed the boyar's daughter, my second the merchant's, and Ivan shall take the frog to wife." Laughter echoed through the wooden palace, yet the wedding feast was held all the same. Golden cups were raised for the noble brides, and a small painted box lined with swan's down was placed beside Prince Ivan for his bride. When night fell, the frog sat quietly upon a silken cushion, and Ivan, hiding his tears, carried the box to the chamber prepared for them beneath the carved eaves. Days passed like mist over the river. Then came the first trial. The Tsar summoned his sons and spoke. "Let each of your wives bake me bread by tomorrow's dawn, bread so fine that my old heart will remember the taste of my own youth." The boyar's daughter and the merchant's daughter set to work with flour of the whitest wheat, with yeast carried from the monasteries of the north, with eggs of wild ducks and cream thick as winter snow. They mocked the little box that held the frog, yet when Prince Ivan slept, exhausted by shame, the frog leapt from her cushion to the porch. 3 times she croaked toward the northern star that the Slavs once called Radagast's eye, and at the 3rd croak she cast off her green skin as though it were a cloak of heavy mist. Beneath stood a maiden more radiant than the moon on the Dnieper, her hair the color of ripened rye, her eyes holding the light of the 7 stars of the Pleiades. Men call her Vasilisa the Wise, for her knowledge reached from the roots of the earth to the paths of the sky. She clapped her hands softly, and invisible servants, the domovi of ancient houses and the rizalki of quiet waters, appeared at her call. By morning a loaf rested upon the princely table, its crust carved with cities and rivers, its sides adorned with swans whose wings seemed ready to lift from the bread itself. When the Tsar broke it, the scent of summer fields filled the hall, and he declared that never had such bread been baked in all the Russias. A second task followed swiftly. "Let your wives weave me a carpet by the next dawn," commanded the Tsar, "a carpet fit to lie before the throne of the Grand Prince himself." Again, the noble brides labored with silk brought by caravans from distant Bokhara, with threads dyed crimson in the shells of insects from the southern seas. Again, they laughed at the painted box. And again, when the palace slept, Vasilisa shed her frog skin beneath the light of the moon. She raised her arms, and the winds that blow between the worlds carried threads of starlight and spider silk finer than any mortal loom. Before the cock crew in the courtyard, a carpet lay folded upon Prince Ivan's threshold, its borders showing the sun and moon in their eternal dance, its center woven with the great oak that stands at the edge of the world, the oak beneath which, the old songs say, the firebird lays her burning egg once every 100 years. The Tsar walked upon it barefoot and felt the warmth of living earth rise through the wool. The third and final trial was announced with trumpets of bronze. "Tomorrow night I hold a feast. Let each son bring his wife so that all may see her beauty and grace." The boyar's daughter wore cloth of gold, the merchant's daughter pearls from the White Sea. Prince Ivan sat alone, his head bowed, for how could he carry a frog into the candlelit hall? Yet when the moon climbed above the pine tops, the frog spoke for the first time in a voice soft as falling water. "Go, my prince, to the feast. I will follow when the time is ripe." Sorrowfully Ivan obeyed. Musicians played upon gusli and horn. Honey wine flowed, and the two proud brides danced with measured steps. Suddenly the earth trembled faintly, as it does when far thunder rolls beyond the horizon. A golden carriage drawn by 6 horses white as winter clouds thundered across the drawbridge. From it stepped Vasilisa the Wise, clothed in a gown woven of northern lights. The moon itself seemed to rest beneath her braid. She entered the hall, and every torch burned brighter. When she danced, she scarcely touched the oaken floor. With a wave of her left sleeve, a lake of silver water appeared among the guests. With her right sleeve, white swans glided across it, their wings scattering drops that became tiny stars as they fell. The Tsar rose from his throne in wonder, and even the jealous sisters-in-law stood silent. But envy is older than kindness. While Vasilisa rested in an antechamber, the sisters-in-law stole the discarded frog skin from beside the hearth and thrust it deep into the fire, thinking to trap the maiden forever in human form and shame her before the court. When Vasilisa returned and saw the skin burning, tears like pearls rolled down her cheeks. "Oh, Evan," she whispered, "if you had waited only 3 more days, the curse would have been lifted forever. Now I must return beyond the thrice-nine lands to the palace of Koschei the Deathless, who stole me from my father's sky kingdom when I refused to be his bride. Farewell." Before Evan could hold her, she became a white swan, her wings beating once-twice against the smoke-blackened beams, and vanished through the high window into the night. Grief sharper than any sword pierced Prince Ivan's heart. He girded himself with a shirt of iron mail, took a sword forged in the ancient city of Staraya Russa, where salt springs still bubble from the earth, and set forth without leave or blessing. For 40 days and 40 nights he walked toward the sunrise, following a little ball of yarn given him by a gray-bearded staritsa who lived in a hut on crane's legs at the edge of the world. Wherever the ball rolled, there lay the path. In the dark forests he met a bear larger than any mortal beast. Instead of slaying it, he shared his last crust of bread. Further on the spared a drake caught in a hunter's net, and later still he freed a pike whose silver scales flashed like moonlight in a drying net beside the great river Don. Each creature bowed low and promised help when the need should come. At last the ball rolled to a stop beside a black cliff that rises even today on the shores of the White Sea, where the midnight sun touches the water in summer. There stood the iron palace of Koschei the Deathless, a castle without doors, its walls forged from the cold of 1,000 winters. Koschei himself was thin as a withered branch, his eyes burning coals, his soul hidden far away so that no blade could reach his heart. Vasilisa served him against her will, her beauty dimmed by sorrow. When Prince Ivan came before the gates, the bear rose from the forest and tore apart the enchanted steeds that guarded the courtyard. The drake flew across the flaming river that encircled the palace, carrying Ivan upon his back. The pike dived into the boiling sea and brought up an iron chest bound with 12 chains. Within the chest leapt a hare, within the hare flew a duck, within the duck rested an egg black as midnight, and within the egg glowed the needle upon which Koschei's death was threaded. Ivan took the egg in his hand and walked into the great hall where Koschei sat upon a throne of human bones. The deathless one laughed, a sound like ice cracking on the Neva in spring. "You cannot kill me, mortal boy." But Ivan raised the egg and crushed it between his palms. The needle snapped with a sound that echoed from the White Sea to the Black, and Koschei the Deathless fell into dust older than the first Slavic tribe that ever kindled fire upon these lands. Vasilisa stood free. The iron palace melted like hoarfrost in morning sun, and flowers of the north, white as her swan wings, sprang up where its shadow had lain. Together Ivan and Vasilisa traveled homeward, beneath skies where the constellation of the swan still flies every summer night, a reminder that love can break even the oldest curse. They were wed beneath the golden domes that rose anew over the rivers, and the bread baked for their wedding was said to carry still the scent of those first miraculous loaves. The jealous sisters-in-law were sent far away, and never again did mockery pass their lips. And so, beneath the ancient oaks that still whisper when the wind turns north, the people remember that true beauty may hide beneath the humblest skin, that patience is stronger than any sorcerer's chain, and that somewhere beyond the visible world a maiden of starlight still waits for the one whose heart is gentle enough to set her free. If these ancient voices touched your heart today, please consider subscribing to Ancient Epics and ringing the bell so you never miss the next forgotten tale. Thank you for watching.